behind you. Folks like you milk the system and I won't pay for it.
Sir, I'm just buying this, that's all.
Yeah, right. Government handouts. I see it every day.
Just keep talking, Dad. This is gold.
It's for one of my students' baby. The family's struggling. I'm covering it myself.
Sure.
I don't need your permission, sir. I just need...
A white man spits at a quiet black stranger in the middle of a busy grocery store, then shoves him roughly and yells so everyone can hear. "You don't belong here. Back of the line, boy." The shoppers stare. No one steps in. The black man stands firm, composed, almost unnervingly calm. But the racist father and daughter have no idea about this. That calm man once led forces capable of destroying entire cities, that he has direct contacts at the top of the Defense Department. And when his true identity is revealed, the store will go completely silent and their lives will change forever. Before we dive in, hit subscribe so you don't miss our stories. Comment below where you're watching from. We love seeing our global community. Now Evan Brackmore's voice echoed through the front of Miller's Market, a tiny aged grocery sitting off Highway 7 in Raventon, Arkansas, the kind of place smelling of dust, fried chicken, and coming storms. He was a large man, shoulders broad at 61, belly pressing against a camo jacket. His beard was uneven, reddish, and streaked with tobacco. His face was mere inches from the quiet black man holding a small basket with only two things, baby formula and cough syrup. Evan jabbed a thick finger into the stranger's chest. "Did I stutter?" I said. "Move, people like you know your place." His daughter Carson Bramore, 21 and hungry for drama, lifted her phone and hit record. "Get him, Daddy," she giggled. "Show this guy why he doesn't belong here." The black man didn't raise his voice, he didn't flinch, he didn't even blink, he simply stood tall, eyes steady, calm. His name was Solomon DeVaughn. At that moment he looked like nothing more than a weary man trying to grab baby formula before the storm hit. Solomon DeVaughn was 43, broad-shouldered, skin smooth but marked with faint scars earned far from Arkansas. He wore faded jeans, a gray hoodie, and worn running shoes with soles almost gone. Nothing about him looked special. Nothing screamed power. He looked like a man who worked long hours, kept to himself, and spoke little. Anyone paying attention might notice the way he balanced his weight, feet planted evenly, posture straight, even under pressure. But no one looked closely. No one ever noticed men like him. He was here for one reason. Little Eli Thompson, 6 years old, a student at the community center where Solomon volunteered, was sick with a harsh cough, and his mother had run out of formula. So Solomon, after a long day of quiet work, drove an aging beige Chevy pickup with a broken side mirror through the approaching storm just to grab two small items. Now he stood surrounded by a white crowd staring at him like he was a threat, not for anything he did but for who he was or who they assumed he was. Evan stepped closer, chest puffed, breath smelling of cheap whiskey. "Let me show you how things work around here," he growled. "See a white family with a cart, you step aside, you don't cut in front, you sure as hell don't act like we're equal." Carson laughed for the camera. "Look at him, Daddy, just standing there like a lost puppy. Bet he can't even speak English, huh?" Solomon inhaled slowly, not afraid, just worn out, bone-weary. A few onlookers lingered, an older couple by the freezers. A teenage cashier frozen at the register, a man in a fishing hat pretending to scroll on his phone. No one stepped forward. Evan shoved Solomon's basket from his hands. It tumbled to the floor, formula rolling across the tiles. "There," Evan sneered. "Now pick it up like the dog you are." Carson moved closer with her camera. "I'll for TikTok," she mocked softly. "My friends love watching people like you try to act tough." Solomon bent slowly to gather the formula, deliberate and steady. Evan grinned. "Yeah, on your knees, that's your place." A low murmur spread through the store, still nobody intervened. Solomon stood, basket in hand. He didn't yell, he didn't curse, he spoke in a calm voice. "Sir, please step back." Evan erupted. "Sir," he barked. "No, you call me Mr. Brackmore, you call my daughter ma'am." "Speak properly, boy." Solomon's jaw tightened just slightly. Carson noticed immediately. "Oh, he's mad," she squealed. "Daddy, look at his face, he's about to cry." Evan leaned closer, voice near Solomon's ear. "You're not buying that formula, you're not getting a thing from this store. I'll make sure security drags you out by your neck." His tone dropped to a venomous growl. "You picked the wrong town to act like a man." Solomon exhaled slowly. Thunder rumbled outside, and then everything changed. From the far end of the aisle a voice called out, "Soul, is that you?" Heads turned. A tall man in a black raincoat jogged over, clean-cut, mid-30s. He looked important. He looked like someone used to giving orders. When he reached Solomon, he didn't just nod politely. He straightened, posture sharp, and gave Solomon a small, respectful nod. "Sir," the man said, "we've been trying to reach you. Command needs confirmation on your availability." Evan blinked. Carson lowered her phone slightly. Solomon looked at the man. "Agent Dawson McKinley, Defense Intelligence Service." "I told you," Solomon said quietly. "I'm retired." The agent shook his head. "Not from this, sir." Around them the store went completely silent. Evan frowned. "Retired from what?" he snapped. Agent McKinley stepped closer. "From serving 2 decades as Colonel Solomon DeVaughn, senior commander of the 9th Special Operations Group. The man who led counterterror missions across 5 continents. The man who saved more American lives than anyone I've ever met." The quiet was crushing. A can of peas could have hit the floor and sounded like a bomb. Evan's mouth opened, then shut again. Carson lowered her phone fully, hands trembling slightly. Agent McKinley locked eyes with Evan. "And you just assaulted him." The teenage cashier gasped. The elderly couple gasped louder. Evan stammered, I didn't assault nobody." Agent McKinley raised a hand. "It's all on camera." And your daughter recorded it too. He nodded toward Carson's phone. Her face went pale. Wait, I didn't, Daddy, what do we do? But the agent didn't answer her. He addressed the store. This is now an active scene. Colonel DeVaughn is a federally protected veteran. Any harassment, assault, or obstruction carries mandatory charges. Evan's knees nearly gave way. But he's just some guy, he muttered. No, the agent said coldly. He's the man who outranks every law enforcement officer in this town, and the man you just disrespected in front of 30 witnesses. The shift in power hit instantly like lightning splitting the sky. The crowd changed before Solomon's eyes. Where there had been judgment, now there was awe, shame, respect. The teenage cashier whispered, "Sir, I'm so sorry." The elderly woman pressed her hands to her chest. "I had no idea, God bless you." Solomon simply nodded. He didn't smile, he didn't brag. He just picked up the baby formula and cough syrup with steady hands. Evan stumbled backward, voice shaking. "Colonel, I didn't mean nothing, I swear." Solomon finally looked at him, voice calm, too calm. "Sir, no one should have to earn your respect just to be treated like a human." Evan's face crumpled with humiliation. Solomon turned toward the stormy exit, bag in hand. He paused at the automatic door, glanced back once and said, "Power doesn't make a man better. How he treats the powerless does." Then he stepped into the rain. The store remained silent long after he left. Outside, the storm had grown wilder, heavy rain pounding the parking lot like 1,000 fists on steel. Solomon DeVaughn walked through it without hurry, the grocery bag swinging lightly from his fingers. Behind him, Miller's Market stood frozen in stunned, guilty quiet. Inside, the Brackmore's world had just collapsed, but the real consequences hadn't even begun. Customers slowly emerged from their shock. Whispers spread like wildfire. "Did you hear what they did to him? That man's a colonel, a real colonel, Lord." Carson Brammore's hand shook around her phone. She hadn't stopped recording, but now her face wasn't smug, it was terrified. "Daddy," she whispered, this is going to go viral." Evan Brackmore slammed a shaking hand on the counter. "Delete the video," he snapped. "I can't," she cried. "It's already auto-backed up." Evan's face went ghostly pale. The cashier swallowed hard. "Sir, you put your hands on a federal veteran." The elderly woman who had stayed quiet in the beginning now stepped forward, voice soft but sharp. "You didn't just disrespect a man, you disrespected everyone who served." She looked at Carson, disappointment deep in her lined eyes. "And you cheered him on." Carson's lip trembled. "This isn't fair, we didn't know." He looked like what?" The woman pressed. Carson froze. Her lips moved, but no words came out. The truth was ugly, and everyone in the store felt it. Solomon walked to his old pickup, rain sliding off his hoodie. His hands were steady, breathing calm, but inside the familiar ache returned. An ache older than war zones, older than medals, older than the missions no one would ever hear about. The ache of being judged for his skin before his soul. Even after all he'd done for his country, all the blood he had seen, even after holding dying soldiers and whispering courage into their last breaths, even after saving lives that would never know his name, still to men like Evan he was just a boy. He set the grocery bag on the passenger seat. Lightning split the highway. He whispered to himself, "Breathe, soul, just breathe." A car door slammed behind him. Agent Dawson McKinley jogged through the rain. "Sir, wait." Solomon leaned against the truck, sighing. "Dawson, I told you I want no part of this, not anymore." The agent stopped before him, rain dripping from his hair. "Sir, this isn't about missions, this is about justice." Solomon raised an eyebrow. "Justice doesn't come easy around here." "Doesn't matter," the agent replied. "You deserve it." Solomon stayed silent. McKinley continued, "We're filing charges, assault, harassment of a federal veteran, intimidation, maybe even a hate crime." Solomon shook his head. "No. Let the law handle it, don't drag my name through the media." "But sir, the uniform was never about fame," Solomon said quietly. "Let them face the law, not my anger." McKinley looked at him with a mix of admiration and frustration. "You're too forgiving, sir." "No," Solomon whispered. "I just know hate better than they ever will." A long silence hung between them, then the agent nodded slowly. "I'll handle everything carefully," he said. "We'll protect your privacy." Solomon gave a small nod of thanks. "Thank you, Dawson." The agent straightened slightly like soldiers do, then he added, "Sir, the Secretary of Defense already heard about this." Solomon closed his eyes. "Of course he had." "Tell him," Solomon said softly. "I'm okay and I'm still retired." The agent gave a sad smile. "You always say that, I always mean it." With that, Solomon got into his truck. But neither man knew that the video was already spreading across Raventon like wildfire. Inside Miller's Market, while Evan argued with management and demanded the cameras be turned over, Carson's recording quietly synced to her cloud. Within minutes, someone she had blocked long ago, an old roommate who hated her attitude, saw it pop up in a shared folder they'd forgot to disconnect and posted it with the caption, "This is Raventon. This is what black heroes live with." The video spread fast. Within 30 minutes, phones buzzed across town. Teachers, students, gas station clerks, church pastors, coaches, even the mayor. People who had known Solomon for years were stunned. "Is that Mr. DeVaughn from the community center? He saved my cousin in Afghanistan. That man taught my son self-defense. He bought groceries for my family last winter." Oh God, people had treated him like that. Everywhere Solomon had quietly helped, every act of kindness he never mentioned was now coming to light. The town realized something shocking. They had humiliated a real hero and he had never even defended himself. The storm passed, but by morning the town was buzzing. Evan stepped outside and saw reporters on the streets, neighbors avoiding his gaze. His business, Brackmore Outdoor Supply, was being buried in one-star reviews. Racist trash, assaulted a soldier, shut it down. Carson's college classmates flooded her DMs. You're disgusting, how could you cheer him on, we're sending your video to the dean. Her brand deal gone, her softball coach suspended her, and worst of all, the sheriff pulled into their driveway. Evan Brackmore, he said, we need you at the station, bring your daughter. Is this about that video? Evan snapped. The sheriff, a white man with tired eyes, sighed. Evan, I've known you 20 years, but what you did, it's wrong. Illegal. And it embarrassed this whole town. Then he added, voice low, and if Colonel Devon wasn't the man he is, you'd be in cuffs right now. Evan's rage crumbled into fear. Carson burst into tears. Daddy, everyone hates us. He had no reply. A lifetime of hate had finally come back to him. 3 days later, Solomon walked into the Raventon Community Center carrying a fresh pack of baby formula for little Eli. The kids ran to him instantly. Mr. Soul, you're famous. My mom said you're a hero. Is it true you were a real soldier? Solomon laughed softly, something like that. The room filled with warmth, with innocence, with the kind of love that didn't care about color or titles. Miss Harper, the director of the center, approached him, tears in her eyes. We saw the video, she said softly. You didn't deserve any of that. Solomon shook his head. No one does. She squeezed his arm. You should speak at the town hall meeting tonight. Solomon hesitated. I'm no speaker. You don't need fancy words, she said. Just tell the truth. Let them see who you are. Solomon looked around the room. These were the people who mattered, and maybe the town needed a reminder, not of his rank, not of his medals, but of his humanity. That evening, the community center was overflowing. People stood shoulder to shoulder. Some held signs, we stand with Solomon, justice for Devon, racism ends here. Even Evan and Carson were there, standing off to the side, pale, shaken, humbled beyond recognition. When Solomon stepped to the podium, the room went completely silent. He didn't clear his throat, he didn't adjust the microphone, he didn't rehearse, he just spoke soft, slow, human. I didn't come here to punish anyone, he began. I came to tell you a truth. The room leaned in. In war, I saw men fight for each other, black, white, brown, it didn't matter. We cared about hearts, not skin. He looked toward Evan and Carson, but back home sometimes the battlefield follows you. The audience swallowed their guilt. I'm not angry, Solomon continued, just tired of proving I'm human before I'm respected, tired of earning rights others get freely. He stepped back from the mic, voice dropping to a whisper. All I want is a world where my kids and your kids don't inherit this pain. A tear rolled down an elderly woman's cheek. A man in a work uniform nodded slowly, eyes closed. Carson began sobbing into her sleeve and Evan lowered his head. For the first time in his life, Evan looked small. When Solomon finished, the room stayed silent for a long, long moment. Then from the back, a single voice spoke softly, "Thank you, Colonel." Another voice joined, then another, until the whole room was on its feet. A standing ovation that felt like an apology, a promise, a new beginning. Solomon didn't smile. He just bowed his head and whispered, "Let us be better." As the crowd slowly left, a teenage boy stepped forward shyly. "Sir," he asked, "how did you stay calm when they treated you like that?" Solomon placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "Son, a storm only wins if you let it inside." That was it, one simple line, but the boy nodded slowly, understanding far beyond his years, and a local reporter's camera captured the moment. A hero teaching peace to the next generation. If you want more powerful, emotional stories like this, hit the subscribe button and tell me in the comments. Do you think the Brackmores deserved forgiveness or justice? I'm ready for your next story request.